I think mine's on.
All right, welcome to our commissioners meeting. We would stand for the invocation and prayer. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this nation. We thank you for our county. God bless the citizens of this county. God bless this most recent election, that it will continue to thrive in all subjects in there. We want to congratulate both Commissioner Riddick and Commissioner Hostler for their victorious win as commissioners. In God's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. And first item of business would be, is there a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 legal, 6 personnel.
Is there a second?
Second.
So motion and a second, go to closed session. Now stand by in closed session. Sure. Welcome to our commissioners meeting. This being the 18th of November. We now have a motion to come out of closed session.
So move.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, stand out of closed session. First order of business is agenda adjustments, the consent agenda.
Actually, Mr. Chair, agenda adjustments, we need to add another item under new business, letter B.
And I have an agenda adjustment I'd like to mention.
Hold it, let's get his.
Well, go ahead, Jack. No, go ahead.
It's the same one.
Well, actually, I apologize. I think that we can strike the second closed session from the agenda.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if he
Item
wants to
12.
vote on it individually, we will.
Yes, sir. Item 12, I'll make a motion, we strike closed session.
I think we can do them all at one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
As
Okay,
pertains
yours.
to that?
I have an adjustment to the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add, discussion on a letter received. And I believe you have a copy of that letter as well, the Board of Education.
I do, yes, sir.
That'll be new business B.
That sounds good.
New business.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
I'm sorry, I should have asked this earlier. The closed, the customer service refund.
We need to add that.
We also add
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes,
rescind
sir.
my motion? If Mr. Owens will rescind his second.
I
We-
agree.
We also
I agree.
need to add in two customer service. Add in the two customer service refunds under consent agenda. Letter C. Everybody got that one?
Let's see. And I will second that motion. That has, as it's been adjusted.
There's a motion and a second to add to consent agenda letter C for both requests for refunds. And there's a second.
Mhm.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, it will be added to the consent agenda.
Hey, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, A, B, and C.
all right, there's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda for A, B, and C.
Second.
And a
I would
second.
have, as the minutes as corrected.
Yes, yes.
Under A.
Yes.
All right. The motion to approve the consent agenda as motions have been made and for A, B, and C. So everyone had an opportunity to look at those?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hear none. Consent agenda is hereby approved. Citizen comments. We have one on our list. That is Mr. Kittrell. We're all familiar with Mr. Kittrell. If you come up to the podium, sir.
I want a few minutes of your time tonight as chairman of your ABC board. It's not a normal practice for the ABC board to report to commissioners because we report directly to the state. However, some things have transpired that we felt like.
Mr. Kittrell, we need to fix your microphone or talking to the microphone, the clerk said. Jack, make sure it's on.
Yep.
It is on.
It's okay.
Just pull it up.
Pull it up a little bit, the clerk said, Mr. Kittrell.
All right. We wanted to bring you up to some things that are going on with the board. Many of you may not know, but there was a referendum in April of 1965 that was voted to have ABC stores in the county. Passed 882 to 425. I remember it quite well because I had a great aunt who was very much against it. The first store was opened in 1967. The present board that you have appointed is myself, chairman, Mr. Perry Ewer, Mr. Ronald Taylor, and our manager is Mark Goodman. There are 2 stores in the system, one located close to the intersection of 158-13, your area, one located at the intersection of Florida Road and 32. As you notice, strategically placed to get those traveling through the county. We had some very bad luck. In April of 2009, we had store number 2 on 32 was burned after an automobile crashed and went through the building. We were very fortunate that we knew that eventually we'd have to build a store on 158, and the commissioners were gracious enough to give us the ability to have a fund in case that did happen, as prescribed by the state ABC law. We had excellent insurance, and within a year, we had a store back in operation in that area. In around December of 2011, we were notified that they were going to widen 158. And the offer that we were given by DOT was definitely not sufficient. We had spent our pool of money on the other store, and we, with the help of Attorney Godwin, we refused the offer, ended up in arbitration, and we came out quite well. And in 2014, we got a new store on 158. So today, you have 2 stores in your ABC system valued at $647,000 and no debt. This past year, we had sales of $990,228. We sent the state $219,354. Rehabilitation tax of $2,892. We paid $3,000 for law enforcement. Paid sales tax of $6,840. But the reason I'm here tonight is that I think COVID-19 may have had something to do with it, but we had an exceptional year, and we have some profit share. So I have a check for the school board for $1,400 and some change, and a check for the county for $8,211. That's the reason I came tonight, was to bring you money.
We're even more welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, we like people, guests like you.
That's all right.
You're our favorite Kitchell right now. Sorry, John Taylor.
If you have any questions, the state keeps a pretty tight thumb on what we can do. And we've been very fortunate that we're building modern stores, that it's a self-service. They told us definitely 15% increase. And we were very fortunate. We've got 2 orders through the county that we service. I estimate that 25 to 35% of our business is transit through the county. Sometimes, of course, it's
And I'll say that the ABC stores are very generous. They let us get a lot of the boxes for Jim's to pack our groceries in. Of course, I don't know, it might, we're giving you advertisement as well, I guess.
Well, Mr.
$9,000.
Mr. Kittle,
Absolutely.
do you know if there are restricted funds for this? Or once it goes to the county, it's the county's property?
And it's required that, if we make profits over a certain point, that, those monies be distributed. And hopefully this will happen. I'll have check where you, I'm not gonna come back and talk to you every time. Hopefully we can send you a check.
We will allow it.
Yeah.
If you're bringing a check, we'll allow it.
I think it's really important. One thing I want to tell you, we've got, these two stores, we have no debt.
That's-
And,
Thank you
and we
for
can,
coming.
we can thank all the citizens that have had a drink over the last year too as well. Thank you, Mr. Park.
And I,
Mr. Kittrell.
quick to mention too that we were cousins. So, we lost the most age of our cousins, Aunt Malene and Uncle Herbert, but glad to see you.
Mr. Chair, do we need to see if anybody else didn't get opportunity to sign up since we have such a big crowd?
Yes, we'll bring forward. Does anyone else like to come to the podium and speak? All right, yes,
Let 'em-
step up, one at a time, please.
I think they're for the rezoning.
Oh, okay, for the rezone.
Okay.
There was-
Yeah, okay, not public comments, okay.
Not just that.
All right. Administrative reports. County manager report.
County Manager's Report from October 22nd to October 30th. On October 22nd, I met with the Finance Department and Melissa to discuss how to proceed with payroll, timesheets, and expenditures. We also discussed the various areas that needed signature updates and how to proceed with critical matters that were of a timely nature. I also met with Lisa Cherry, planner, and discussed future planning board events. She is researching the availability of the course offering to become a plat review officer. At that time, there was not a seated or a virtual course offered, but as of this week, they offered another virtual course. And Chris Hill and I are registered for a course on November the 30th. So we're in the process. Melissa Warren and I met with Carolina Computing representatives and discussed their options for a new sign system for the historic courthouse courtroom. On October 28th, Warren and I participated in a WebEx presentation regarding the Roanoke Electric Broadband Project. The presentation was comprised of the different entities reporting on their efforts to make the project successful. I also participated in an NCACC virtual presentation on risk management. The contract between GITS and Trillium was reviewed, name correction made, and signed. The US Cellular Phone contract name change has been made through EasyPage, and the government contract name change is in the process of being corrected. The contract for the library security system with Williams Fire and Sprinkler Company was reviewed with the building and ground supervisor and signed. There was a payroll personnel concern. I researched emails and files to assist Christy Barham to resolve the concern.
Very well, thank you, ma'am. Any comments, commissioners? Any concerns? Yes.
I was just going to thank the interim county manager for our weekly updates. I know we've all been very appreciative of the good communication we've been receiving over the last few weeks.
Thank you. I'm
Point well
trying.
made.
I'm trying.
Sir. Any other comments?
Mr. Kittrell, he heard me talking crap about him. He decided to come in.
All right, tax report.
Hey, good evening. How are y'all tonight?
There's
Hey, Chris.
Good. Tax collector's report for October 1st through the 31st. I think you should all have a copy of that in your packet. We had another strong month, a little bit stronger October than we did September. Total collections for the month of October was $435,260. DMV, right in line with the previous months, so $66,000 roughly for the DMV fines, the DMV fee, I'm sorry. November looking good. So far, month to date, we have brought in $1.87 million to the tax office. We've got about 7 business days left in the month. to collect on that. So we're pleased with that figure so far. Mark Bardell from Zacchaeus Legal Services will be here in the county tomorrow. We've got 2 properties that are going to be auctioned at the courthouse at 12 noon tomorrow. I believe you have the information on those 2 parcels. If you do not, we can go over them if you like. Whatever pleases the board.
Our clerk has furnished them and all commissioners have a copy. Any questions pertaining to that foreclosure on both properties?
Thank you for writing in the margins there where they were actually located. That's very helpful.
Yes, sir. So hopefully we'll have good luck with that tomorrow. Weather's supposed to be nice. Hopefully people will come out and bid on those tomorrow and we can have some success on that. As most of you know, the UNC School of Government has been closed due to COVID-19 since March. They have been offering courses online via Zoom starting the first week of October. To be certified tax assessor for the state of North Carolina Department of Revenue, I've got to have 120 hours of coursework. I've completed 90 hours of that in the last month. I'm waiting on one more course to open up. Once that's opened up and I complete that, I'll be certified as a North Carolina Department of Revenue tax assessor. So that's just the FYI. I appreciate the support of everybody in the county, everybody on the board, the tax staff that's kept the ball rolling while I've been pursuing this, and we should have that wrapped up here shortly. Any other questions from me?
Very well, thank you, sir, and thank you for briefing me earlier today on the returns. So appreciate that. Any questions?
I do have one question. See the opening bid on one of the foreclosures, the one that starts at 5,000, a little over 5,000. I guess that's the tax lien. That opening bid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Mr. Chairman, that's all I had.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank Chris. A citizen reached out to me, and Chris is doing some research with Zacchaeus. When you get that, I'm trying to turn around and look at you, Chris, in the Zoom, but I'm not going to turn around and look at you. Will you send that information to all the commissioners so they can see the timing and understand the process, like myself, of why it's taking so long?
Yes, sir. I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And as Commissioner Jones brought that up, once we send a case to Zacchaeus, it's kind of in their hands to track down the heirs, to track down who they need to track down as far as foreclosing on that piece of property. Once it's assigned to Zacchaeus, it's in their ball court in order to finalize what's going to be foreclosed on, when it's going to be foreclosed on. So the tax department, once that's turned over to Zacchaeus, we don't have any bearing, any jurisdiction when it comes to how fast those foreclosures get processed. Like I said, it's up to the legal firm to do that. But I'll be happy to send that to everybody tomorrow.
And to give a little background, a citizen reached out because there was a property beside them, neighboring property, with unpaid taxes for, it was a number of years, wasn't it, Chris? Before your and my time.
10 years.
10 years. And so Chris is following up. Citizens interested in buying it if it's available, but they were questioning how long the process was taking and why it took so long. So Chris has done some research for me and has reached out to Zacchaeus. So just passing that along to fellow board members.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Appreciate your involvement.
Thank you. Appreciate everything.
Thanks, Chris.
And in our packet, our clerk is prepared from our finance officer. Everyone's had an opportunity to review that. Any questions, comments, changing that?
Did the audit team finish up?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and my question is, has the audit team finished up?
Yes, I talked with Kyle, who's a part of the team today, and there are 2 sections to the audit. One is the financial part. And then the other part is when they have to do the single audit based on certain criteria for grants. So they feel like for the financial part of it, which is due by January 31st, it's no problem. They're almost done with that. For the compliance piece, they are waiting until I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. They are waiting until the addendum comes out on how to audit the COVID funds. And that part of the financial statements are not due until March 31st. So they feel like if the addendum doesn't come out in time, they'll go ahead and submit the report for the financial statement so that that one is done by January. Like we're doing good this year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Allen?
Just like to thank her for her efficiency and the material she's put in our report this month.
And we want to thank you too for keeping us up to date with the audit as it was proceeding. And some of us, I know I had spoken with Kyle as well. And but he's been very efficient as well. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Any other departmental reports? Articles of interest?
Mr. Chair, I actually, departmental reports.
Yes, sir.
I tend to be out and about in the county some during the day, and I think I didn't notice it in the building and grounds, but I don't know if any of my fellow commissioners have been to the library lately, but there's a spot or two that need to be washed again, right over the front door. Miss Hendricks would be the one that, if anybody goes back there, it's obvious to see where the big stains are and big spots are. I think it would be wise for just we got nice county buildings. We need to.
I'll wash.
I went to check out some books one day to read and saw it.
I'm glad you're doing that, sir. I'm sure that Commissioner Hoffman is glad to hear that as well. So keeping up with your education. Any other departmental reports? Any questions about anything our clerk is?
Mrs. Hendricks, I noticed in yours, you said that the collection window was open on October 1st. Of course, that has changed.
That has now changed due to our situation in our admin building. Yes, and we are.
And that's on the website.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I knew it would be, but I just
Yes,
wanted for everybody to
is.
know that it's not a Dropbox again.
Yes, it is. But if you have a reason to come to the door with like lease agreements and things like that, closing documents for new accounts, we go to the door. We're very precautious with gloves, mask, and we do not turn away customers.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other articles of interest? The county calendar. We had an opportunity to look at the calendar and anything that you have observed. Not, we'll move right along. Public hearing. The community transportation grant. And we've seen that that's attached. Any questions about that?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into public hearing related to fiscal year 2022 community transportation grant.
There's a motion on the floor to go to public hearing.
I'll second.
Pertaining to the transportation grant. Yes,
I'll
sir.
still second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second. All in favor, go to public hearing. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Stand by in public hearing.
Is Patrice going to?
Patricia, you with us? Ms. Lasser?
Patrice, can you hear us?
Ms. Lasser may be transported.
Patrice,
Ms. Lasser, can you hear us?
Well, this is the same report. I mean, we can get this each year, and she is always very efficient, and it's always professionally done.
Agreed.
And so I don't have any hesitance to make a motion that we approve this to be sent forward.
I think it would be proper for the chairman to make mention to the audience if there's anyone who would like to come speak. So it would be official
yes.
public hearing.
That's true.
If anyone here would like to come and speak to the public transportation system that we have, GETS, if you will. Is anyone familiar with that? Know what that is? And I echo what Commissioner Hoffler said. Ms. Lasser always presents this to us in such a fashion that we can understand it. It is federal monies that through a grant, and that also is attached to Albemarle Regional Health through their system. So just so you're aware of that. We call it Gates County Interregional Transportation System, therefore GETS.
so we need a motion. We got a public hearing.
We'll.
Yeah,
have to come
get
out
out of public hearing.
No, she says she's on, but we cannot hear her.
She's muted.
She says
It says it's mute. She's muted.
And we're not able to unmute it, I guess. Go ahead.
I make a motion that we come out of public hearing.
I'll second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to come out of public hearing. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Here none. Stand out of public hearing.
Now I'll make a motion that we accept this,
It's on page 2, Mr. Hopper.
2022 Community Transportation Grant for her to go ahead forward with that.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion and a second to approve Ms. Lasser, our Director of Public Transportation, for the year 2022 Community Transportation Grant. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none. So be it.
Mr. Chair, I believe I am correct in saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, the GETS is one of the programs that really does not receive county monies. It comes from the state and from the federal government.
They're
Yes, ma'am.
self-supporting. They are.
It's self-supporting.
That's correct.
So these grants are important to us.
Any other discussion or comments pertaining to the GETS grant? Okay.
We need a motion to go into the next one too, correct?
Take who up for public hearing?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we enter the public hearing for 022-010-MA-03 Jayla D. Moore request to amend zoning parcel of 10-00340.
There's a motion to go to public hearing as pertaining to section 8B. Second. And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Stand by public hearing. And now, if there's, yes. sir.
Is there a time limit on public hearing, Mr. Chair?
Well, I needed to continue with the statement that you were reading.
Okay.
2020-MA-03, Jayla D. Moore submitted an application to amend the zoning on a plus or minus 1.0 acre parcel identified as parcel number 10-003440, address being 280 Taylor Mill Road, being south of Harold Lane, north and adjacent to Taylor Mill Road, east of Little Island Road, northwest of Fort Island Road, located in Hall Township. Property is currently zoned R1 residential. The request is to rezone the parcel to RMH1 residential manufactured home for the purpose of allowing a manufactured home.
Thank you, Madam County Manager. And we have in our packet as well, I guess everyone's had an opportunity to read that. Yep. Peruse that.
So now, do I need to amend my motion, or that's just part of the public hearing?
That's part of.
Okay, so we can go into the public hearing. Okay, so we're good. Okay.
And now, does anyone want to come to the podium?
Does Ms. Moore and her real estate agent? Yes.
And if you will,
Identify yourself, please.
My name is Jayla Moore, and this is Travis James, the realtor.
and your address, please.
280 Telomere Road.
Excuse me. Yes, ma'am. You may address us.
Oh, I was gonna allow him to speak.
Yes, it's fine. And again, sir, if you would repeat for our clerk, your name and address.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Travis James. I'm a real estate broker for Taylor Mueller Realty in Elizabeth City. And I wanted to speak on behalf of Jayla because I'm the reason we're here. I did bring some documents I'd like to pass out so we can kind of get a feel of what we're talking about, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll start here if you'd like.
Let's see. 1, 2, 5,
You got 6.
6. Nervous, can't count.
If you give this one to the.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I think we got that. Some of it.
I guess I'd like to start out with a little history of how we got here. I got my real estate license August 23rd, 2017. I was having phone duty, and about 6 months after that, I was approached by a brother, Mr. P. He and his brother had inherited this property, 280 Taylor Mill Road. Their father had bought it and passed away a few months after that. So as a young real estate agent, I was excited to get a listing. I pulled the legal tax card, deeds, and I pulled the map that's in front of you, the subdivision map. I researched for deed restrictions and nothing come up in the arrest or deed sites. And as far as I know, there's no deed restrictions attached to this plat, which the subdivision was approved in 1988, as you can see. And I highlighted lot 10, which is the lot we are discussing tonight. Let's see. So researching the property, getting it a list, doing a listing agreement, one thing I did is search a history of this lot in our MLS system, our multiple listing services that keeps account of everything that's sold, purchased, everything been listed. And I was able to find the old MLS sheet, which is towards the back. It's actually the back page. And this is where Mr. P, the father, had bought it. And as you can see, I put a star there, allowed structures, about dead center. Multi-section manufactured, AKA, as we know, the double wide. So that was my first hint, thinking, yeah, okay. And then my next step was to ride to the property. And if we go back to page 2, I printed out a GIS map. And I took some pictures up and down the public road there. And I've numbered them. Like, you can see the star and the circle of 10. That's the lot we're talking about. Number 1, the neighbor right to the right, which is a multi-section manufactured house. The neighbor to the left, they own 3 lots, and it is also a multi-section manufactured home or double wide. Straight across from the lot we're talking about, number 3 is also a double wide. And as you can see, you get my point when I'm saying is this area is saturated, 80% probably multi-section manufactured homes. So we're asking for this lot to be rezoned And it's not, we're not putting a shopping mall in a subdivision. I'm not asking for that. I'm kind of, we're hoping that you might can approve something that's kind of already there. And that's kind of the feel for the neighborhood. Now, there is some stick-built houses. You see those, they're the ones I didn't put the numbers on and I didn't go too far. Like number 5 on the first page, that's a stick-built house. But number 6 and 7 are double wides, and there's actually a single wide, which is the SW on the GIS map. And then at the end, I even went down and I print the zoning map, which is R1, which I have learned to know exactly what R1 means now, which is modular or stick built. I've learned the hard way. And all this was no fault of Jayla's, because I've actually included my MLS sheet. And if you look at the plat map, the lot is 100-foot wide by 435 foot long or deep, which is an acre, 43,560. So with the current setbacks, 20 on each side, you're only allowed to build a 60-foot wide house on this property. As you can see, I had it on the market, and I included a history. It sold 800 days on the market. And the whole time I was marketing, I marketed it 2 double wides. I knew that that's what, without knowing that it couldn't be allowed by the zoning, but I was for sure that's what this lot was meant to be. And sure enough, I didn't represent Jayla. I represented Sailors. Another agent represented Jayla in the purchase. And we know North Carolina's a buyer beware state. Do your due diligence, hence the due diligence period and such. But another fact, I advertised it as a double wide, just like I'd seen the previous realtor before me had advertised. I even put that in my remarks, that a lot approved for modular and modulars and double wides. Well, the lot sold in May this year. Jayla is deeded in Jayla's name, Miss Moore's name. She's actually got a recorded deed of trust in this county in her name for her home. This home is sitting on a lot. And she's a first-time home buyer. Obviously, when CMH went to get the building permit, this is when this come up. A few months later, I got that ugly call that I wasn't expecting, that just dropped my stomach getting. And that's kind of the history of how we're here tonight and why I'm here. And I do want to apologize for Jayla for any mistakes I've made. And just to bring it up, I take real estate very seriously. I've been licensed since 2017, and I looked tonight. I've done 67 transactions in the past 12 months and sold $6.8 million in real estate, gross sales. So this is how I feed my family. I take it very seriously. And it's a tragic mistake on my part that Jayla's caught in the midst of. So that's kind of what I wanted to say tonight. And I appreciate you letting me speak, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, very detailed. And the photographs, of course, give us a lot of observation.
I'd have had them more organized, but that was just the way they were organized on my camera card, but then when to print them, they were kind of all over the place. I apologize for that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like, thank you for your candid remarks and all this information. It's
Yes.
helpful.
Thank you, sir.
I think we should ask Jayla to come up. And maybe we might have a question for her.
Yes, sir.
Jack,
Thank
get
you,
closer
Mr.
to the
Moore.
mic.
Thanks.
I was getting comfortable.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Owens, did you have-
Well, I wanted to, before we went any further, I thought we should give her the opportunity to say anything you want to say about what he said. I mean, he's here representing his side of the story and representing you somewhat too. I acknowledge that. But I thought we should give you, before we start asking a lot of questions of him, we should allow you to say anything that you want to say or anything that you want to ask us.
Is there any particular reason why it got denied? Or like why the zoning got changed?
Well, you're talking about history of of our zoning rules. When those changes were made, they were made for certain specific reasons. But to entertain those or talk about those now, what we're really here addressing is we have a rule and we're trying to make the rule satisfactory for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, but that, I mean, that's a fair question. This has gone before the planning board? Okay,
We're still in public hearing as well, in case somebody else wants to come speak.
Yeah, we're still in public hearing.
all right, public hearing is for you to be heard, so, and thank you for that, I'm sorry. Okay,
You said that you did not know why. Did the planning board discuss with you why?
No.
Were you there when they went through this case?
Yes.
Did they ask you any questions?
I can't remember. It was like a long time ago, like a few months ago, a month ago. I'm not sure.
Did they talk among them? So did they talk back and forth with each other?
Yes.
You remember anything that they may have said?
That it went through this before, and they're not sure if they can change it, so they just denied it.
Mr. Chairman, we're in public. I was doing the same thing you did.
I kind of slipped right out of there.
Sorry about that.
Signal was, yeah.
I did attend the planning meeting, my neighbor, and he talked about it, and I stood the planning board, this might be bad. And didn't realize,
Mr. Cherry wants to speak, but we need to see if anybody else, if they're finished, anybody else wants to come up to the mic before we move along, Mr. Chair.
We had asked that previously, but just to go over that again, is anyone else here in reference to this particular Ms. Moore's request? Are there any planning board member? I don't see any.
We need a motion to come out of public hearing then.
I make a motion to come out of public hearing.
I'll second.
Motion and a second on the floor to come out of public hearing. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
We need-
So be it.
Ms. Cherry wants to.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good day. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
All right. How are you all doing tonight? I just wanted to welcome Ms. Moore and Mr. James. By the way, we have spoken, and yes, the planning board meeting was approximately a month ago. And what the planning board had indicated, and they were correct in this, was that it was spot zoning, and I'm not sure if that was explained to Ms. Moore, truthfully so. But that's the conclusion that they had come up with, and it may be on your paperwork. I think I included that. But yes, that was the reason that it was denied by the planning board. As a recommendation, it was just a recommendation. And if there's any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Lisa,
Yes.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. It's okay. I went to the property, drove around the corner and looked at it. And if I'd have known that Travis was gonna bring all his documents, I think Commissioner Hoffler served on the planning board, Commissioner Freeman. I don't think Commissioner Riddick and Commissioner Owens had that pleasure.
No.
But Lisa just mentioned spot zoning, and the three of us are very familiar with spot zoning. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. And I think to answer part of Jayla's question, this was, and Lisa, please correct me at any point, I'll hush, but this whole area was zoned residential R1. But when I drove to the property, I wrote these, and I didn't compare them with you, but 276, 281, 282, and 289 Taylor Mill are all double wides. And there's one house right across the street that is a stick-built house. So I understand her frustration, because when you look at the property, it conforms to what is there, but all those were zoned before the zoning went into place. And I don't like that. I mean, I'll say it publicly. I don't like that. I think it's not good that a citizen can't put up if that's what they can afford or what they want, and it conforms to the area. But we are regulated by zoning laws, spot zoning, which puts us in a rough situation, because that's illegal to do, is spot zoning. I did notice there is a new property, and looks like, and I don't know if you saw it, Lisa, it might have come across your desk, not even a quarter of a mile down the road, back toward the Little Island Road, 137 side, that is brand new, and I'm thinking that's a modular. Is that right, Lisa?
That would be correct. That is an off-frame modular that has been placed on that property just recently. Yes.
So the modulars are allowed, but the manufactured homes are not. And sorry, Lisa, I found that out. I forgot to ask you that question. Lisa and I had a conversation, because, as I said, it's disheartening to turn somebody down for property. I know she's frustrated, but my question to Lisa is, and then I'll hush. I counted 4 properties right there around it that are double wides, and only because they were grandfathered in. What does it take? And I wasn't a part of zoning when that happened years ago, but to change an area, what does that entail, Lisa? I'm curious for myself and for my other board members, because some things just make sense sometimes.
Understood completely. And when this area was originally zoned, the property owners were notified, and you could challenge that at that time. And if you had wanted to be a certain zoning, you could request that, and the majority of the times those were approved. And if they didn't challenge it, it went as what the recommendation would have been from, the powers that be, the planning board, the planners at the time. And what it would take to change that now for that area, and agreed, there are a multitude of double wides in that area. But what it would take at this point is a large-scale rezoning. And it's triggered by certain numbers. Anything over 50, let's say, is something that is a community involvement procedure, things like that. But it's not that it couldn't be done, but most certainly it's something that we could address at a later date, most certainly.
Just, Lisa, for clarification, road frontage that's needed for a 1 acre lot now is what?
175 feet. And this lot would be something that would be considered a prior lot of record in our ordinances, and it's something that could be administratively approved, along with when that was recorded in the Register of Deeds office, the setbacks could have been different as well. It's something we would have to research as far as the setbacks, but it would be considered a prior lot of record.
Okay, so the 100-foot current road frontage is it's a non-issue.
Not for this, because of the prior
Right. So
recordation in the Register of Deeds.
Just to be real clear, a modular could be put on this property.
Correct.
Okay. How about as Mr. James stated earlier, the 20-foot setbacks on each side? Is that something that could be adjusted if need be?
If need be, and if I'm able to go back and verify when this lot was originally recorded, which I believe, I've looked at another modular that was placed out there. If I'm not mistaken, this was recorded originally in 1972, and there were some plats done, and so it would be based on the setbacks at that date.
And one of the reasons for the setbacks on the sides is so that fire equipment can get to the back. Remember, we had that problem up on 37
Buckland,
at Buckland.
remember it well. Okay, and of course, we know that the planning board, they, just like us, when they made their decision, they had to look at the rules, the ordinances, on the planning documentation. And just like this board, we have to make our decisions based on those same rules. We certainly look, I'm asking these questions to you, Ms. Cherry, so the rest of the board members can hear and add to. Because
You would be correct.
we
You would
all
be correct. That is,
we would all like to find ways to help somebody in an awkward situation. Unfortunately, we're not able to go by, I didn't know that. I didn't know that is not something that gives us an amendment. So I'll wait to hear anybody else comments on it.
It's a very, it's no winners in this. In a way.
Right, that's right, that's true.
And of course, I thought important too that Lisa did explain and tell us that it was registered in 1982. If I remember. And then I see
72.
I mean 1972. And then I see an additional survey of the area, 1988. Correct.
And Lisa, you still there?
yes, I'm here.
I'll ask you one more question and I'll be quiet. If as much as I want to approve this request, if we approve it, that would be breaking the law. Is that correct? In your professional opinion?
You would be correct. Unfortunately, the smaller area that is zoned differently than anywhere else around it is what truly triggers the spot zoning, unfortunately, in this case. And we're looking at one parcel, and it's a small an area considered all the R1 zoning that you see around that on the zoning map. So that is correct.
I was hoping you wouldn't not say that, Lisa.
Yeah. And those are, we had an opportunity to do some research and realize that it was unlawful. And certainly we can't and don't want to break the law.
Ms.
But
Cherry.
We do want to help.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
We just went through a public hearing, you're well aware. Are we required? I know that that young lady, Ms. Moore, I believe, yes, Ms. Moore, asked for for us to address it. We've had the public hearing. Are we required to take a vote on the matter, or does it matter just die because it's already been denied by the planning board?
Yes, sir. Yes, according to our Gates County ordinance, it has to be sent to the Board of Commissioners with a recommendation, and that is where the final decision lies. Yes, sir.
Lisa, one more question, maybe two. That rezoning that you mentioned, how long does that process take, and how labor intensive, and what kind of cost to the county?
Well, I would have to go back to give you exact, but of course it would require, the advertisements and the community involvement, the property owners to be notified, and the community around it as well. It would take approximately, if everything was perfect and everything hit right on time, we would have to do something according to our land use plan as well, because we have to understand that our land use plan was based on this zoning, so it would be consistent, because that would include amending that as well. And I would have to look and see if this would meet that, but if it is inconsistent with the land use plan, 2017 Gates County Land Use Plan, we would have to go through some administrative approvals to amend that as well. So I couldn't give you an exact amount, and unfortunately, I don't have some documents here with me, but I would have to say 6 months at least.
And that was, so if the board decided to, as a majority of the board, you're talking at least next fall, probably at the earliest, for a double wide
Yes.
with, but a modular could be put up next week. Is
Yes, sir.
Just to address Jones's question is, we were dealing with, the county was dealing with, none of us were on the board at the time, but we were dealing with a saturation issue. Houses, property being sold, lots real close together, low frontage, just like in this situation, as the gentleman stated, you know, if it's 100-foot wide, 60-foot house wide limit, and we would be reversing, we would have to have a different feeling countywide, not just this board, but countywide, that people said, oh yeah, let's build on top of each other. So we'd be going against, I think, what the citizens of the county believe. So it's a good question. But you're talking about an extensive overhaul of the whole planning idea, the whole planning concept, and our land and everything that our land use rules have been based on. So, I mean, it would be massive. And not only that, not to disparage Ms. Moore, but we don't want to do that. So, I mean, the cost, the time, or whatever, it's not an area. It's not what the feel of the county has been. You know, when we went through the land use stuff, we sought out what the county wanted, and that's where we are. Mr. Chairman.
And what we needed also, and Commissioner Hoffer said that, you know, for emergency vehicles, whatever might unfortunately occur. I did like to hear the option and repeated by Commissioner Jones as far as a module. And I'm sure folks are aware of that, but that's an option that the owner has to meet the requirements.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment and then a motion.
Yes, sir.
Very unfortunate what Ms. Moore faces. And I believe Mr. James is genuinely concerned about the outcome. I hope that whatever the solution is, that it's good for both of them. Unfortunately, our planning board made a decision based on facts. As we've stated, we have to make our decision based on facts. We don't see anything that they've done that we can overturn. And so I'm forced to make a motion that we deny the request for rezoning.
All right, there's a motion for denial of that and on the floor. Is there a second? Any other discussion?
I was thinking that it's one of those horrible situations you don't like to be in. I'll second.
And go ahead. We're in discussion now. I think this sort of falls into place, Commissioner Owens, with some other zoning issues that I think you and I have talked about that as a greater whole need to be looked at some point. Lisa doesn't have anything else going on. But this might be something that, I mean, we're in a bad spot.
It's obviously heavy on the hearts of all the commissioners by the silence for the second, as well as the time limit for the motion.
And I'll call the vote, Mr. Chairman.
All right, there's a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, motion is denied. Under old business, county holiday arrangements.
I think we need to bring Melissa up to the mic, maybe. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think she just clicked off.
Can we bring Melissa?
Oh, yes,
Let her be seen.
Madam Clerk, if you would like to come forward to the podium, we would love to hear from you. But,
Hey, Melissa.
any
So
holiday
you want me?
arrangements, dates?
I'll start. So this topic has come up, doing something different due to COVID-19 and limitations. Usually it's a staff Christmas party at the Cooperative Extension. We discussed earlier in the year using our own money to have an event at the community center, which was approved by Dr. Williams, which would allow more socially distancing. However, things are not getting better. So Commissioner Riddick had a good idea about us, instead of doing a catered meal, doing something simple as gift cards to local establishments and just passing them out, $10 to each county citizen. Then the topic came up on top of that of letting the maybe leave early one day, close the county offices, or at some point, since we weren't allowing, a 2-hour break for the meal. And Melissa has done some homework. Now you can go.
Sure. All right. Commissioner Jones called me last week and asked me to look into a few things that may help the board in making their decision. As far as time off or closing offices early, the hardship, I guess, of that is some offices are essential. Sheriff's office, 911, depending on schedules, public works. Some offices simply can't close down. So the issue becomes, do you compensate them by our personnel policy? Do we have to pay holiday time or such there? After talking with Ms. Byram in payroll and reading our personnel ordinance, it does appear that we've got some flexibility with petty leave time. So that could be an option for the board if you wanted to grant X number of hours to all full-time employees. They would have from the date approved to January the 1st to coordinate with, right, coordinate with their offices to have some time off.
And
Not to discourage you from making any other plans that you want to make. If you want to close down, there's lots of counties that do it, that close X number of hours.
Northampton County, Melissa and I have talked a number of times about this. Northampton County is closing at 12 o'clock the day before Thanksgiving, shutting all non-essential offices down. And that's sort of where this idea, I think Commissioner Riddick, it was your idea. So if you want to elaborate, I'll be quiet because you've been quiet for a while.
That was an idea since with COVID-19, and we can't gather as a group like we had planned on, or pre-planned, that we show our appreciation to the staff, the county staff, by closing for half a day, whatever that day is. That was the plan I put forward. And unless you say that we cannot do that, you're either gonna appreciate the staff or you're not.
I'm not saying that you can't do it.
By statute, I'm not saying you. I'm talking about
Right, I'm saying that the way our current personnel policy is written, that it would probably be inferred that we are shutting down for holiday time, which does not does not allow all employees. So I think it becomes the intention of the board. Do you want the grand gesture of all of the county offices are shut down at one time? But then certain departments can't follow that, so therefore they miss out per se. Or do you want to grant time that people can use at their own flexibility? Do you want to not do time, want to do box lunches that we can pick up in the lobby? There's various options. I guess the less trivial appeared to be the petty leave.
And that's what I saw. I read the research. That seems to be fair and less labor intensive. That they can choose that whatever hours, 4 hours of petty leave, but they have to schedule with their supervisor, of course. They just can't wake up one morning and say, I'm taking 4 hours. And the gift card. Because, you know, when you have a gift card, they can choose wherever get the gift card, they can pick it up whenever they want to. So we're leaving it to them. We're just providing the avenue for them to take advantage of what we're trying to do as far as show our appreciation to the county staff.
And that way, what you're getting at, Commissioner Riddick, 2 hours of petty leave between December 15th and December 31st, instead of closing the offices the day before Christmas and, you know, closing all offices at 3 o'clock. That way, if somebody was already off that day, I think Melissa made the statement, you know, if somebody was already off that day, do they have to only take 6 hours of, 5.5 PTO? So if we go to 2 hours of petty leave and insert a date, and I just, I think.
Well, the personnel policy states that petty leave has to be used by January the 1st or you lose it.
Can we, this question. Can we grant a one-time petty leave or whatever you call it? Can we grant that one time outside of our personnel policy? I mean, if we do that, we don't have to abide by it. We're not infringing on the personnel policy if we do it as a one-time stipulation.
Due to COVID-19.
Of course, with COVID.
Right. I mean, I think that gives you all kinds of.
Do it anyway with petty leave. Isn't that correct? With the current personnel policy?
Yeah, Commissioner Owens, are you trying to get around the January 1st
Yeah, I want to
stipulation?
give a little bit more time.
Well, if it's for a holiday, I mean, they'll have a whole month for December.
We're not looking at the holiday. We know they're gonna get the holiday. We're looking at showing appreciation that they don't have already scheduled. If you're gonna try to do it, if you're gonna put in the discussion of holiday, then that takes away the appreciation.
You don't want to have to track it and keep up with it forever, but I wouldn't want to restrict it
So,
that much.
so I think the answer to that is yes, you probably could pass a one-time exception and such outside of the personnel policy. Christy's not here, so I don't want to speak on behalf of her. But the tracking of it and the reporting of it gets a little messier.
Yeah.
Because the system's already set up.
So we need to set an ending date
It's like January 31st.
between December 1st and January 31st. And we're,
Have an ending date.
go ahead,
For the
commit.
track.
That way, yeah, because then somebody's gonna,
Oh, I didn't do it. I'm going to do
March.
mine in February. Well,
all
I'm
right,
gonna do mine in
so,
July.
now this is our personal money. So we don't have to discuss, that in a motion. That, and we've all talked, if everybody's okay with that, we can talk about that later, with each other. But, you, from your research, intensive research that you've done, if there was a motion on the floor that due to COVID-19, the commissioners make a one-time exception to grant 2 hours of petty leave to all county employees to be used between December 1st and January 31st in appreciation for their service to the county. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. Go ahead, Commissioner Owens, unless you're gonna
I'll
make
wait
it.
for the discussion part.
You sure?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion, sir. I'd like to make a motion that, I just went blank. That we allow and approve all county employees an extra 2 hours of petty leave due to COVID-19 to be taken between December 1st and January 31st of 2021.
In appreciation.
In appreciation for their service and the lack of what we can do for them due to COVID-19.
Second.
There's a motion discussion.
Yes, I'd like for us to make sure we have some way of reminding somebody who hasn't taken it like in the last week or something like that. I want anybody to miss out on it. You know, if there's some way we could say, send somebody an email, say, you know, we have 3 people that haven't taken advantage of it.
And let everybody know if it, if and when it passes that, hey,
We can do that, but I don't want you to be sad because some people aren't. They're going to lose. I mean, every year, January the 1st rolls around and there's
People
some
lose time.
employees that forfeit over that time, but you're offering it.
and since we're still in discussion, does the motion need to be say anything about up to manager discretion, or is that sort of,
Management, I think.
you know,
management will take care of that.
okay, okay, good. And I'll call for the vote, Mr. Chair. Nobody else has anything.
There's a motion on the floor and the second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign, hearing none.
Thank you for your work,
Pledge
Melissa.
allegiance. Manifest.
And there's 106 employees we have now, right, Melissa?
I thought it was 8.
Okay.
All employees.
Uh-huh.
All right, CARES Act funds.
Is Kim still on?
I'm here.
Hey, Kim,
Hey.
if I may, Mr.
We're
Chair.
discussing the CARES Act funds.
Kim,
Yes.
good evening. My first question of a few, that email, it's in our board packet, you sent Tuesday, November the 10th. Says currently we have reimbursed the county $477,501 out of $662,000. Do you have a breakdown of where that money was spent? I know that it had been asked previously a couple of months ago, and there was some questions about exactly where it was spent, or can you tell me how much of that money went to replace salaries?
I don't have the actual numbers in front of me right now, but the majority of the $477,000 figure that I gave you guys was towards the salary and benefits for eligible employees that were considered substantially dedicated. That would be the sheriff's department. And recently they did go back and confirm we could reimburse the county for salaries and benefits for dispatchers in the emergency management. We could not reimburse anything for anyone in an administrative role. So we took a very conservative approach with this. We did not calculate into the reimbursement any time taken off. So it was only based on if they were working or not, and prorated the benefits based on the number of hours worked.
Okay. So my next question, this, you said, did you say 300,000? Did you throw that figure out, or is that a figure I remember from a previous email or something?
Like I said, I don't have the documents in front of me, so I can't give you the exact number that we have reimbursed the county for the salaries and benefits. I know it's been a very small amount that we reimbursed for anything that had to do with the emergency FMLA leave that folks could take with the COVID. We have purchased very little actual COVID related items for like sanitation. We've tried to go through FEMA reimbursement for as many things as we can first before using the COVID money.
Gotcha. So my first follow-up question is that is money that we weren't expecting the $662,000. Is that correct? As part of our fiscal year budget?
Because we received it at the end of last fiscal year, and then it carried forward into this year because we have until December 30th to use it. We did budget in July, we did budget in, I believe it was 200,000 towards salaries because we thought that's how much of those funds we would use to reimburse the county for substantially dedicated employees. So until we reach that threshold, which we have at this point, it wasn't, basically those funds replaced us having to furlough any employees. That's how it freed up the county funds for this current budget year. So anything over that 200,000 that we budgeted for frees up additional county funds, if that makes sense.
So looking back at this fiscal year budget, we balanced our budget pulling $55,190 out of fund balance. So am I understanding correctly that by using this, any monies over 200,000 that's used towards salaries is replacing the 55,190 in fund balance, and plus extra money would go back into fund balance? Is that correct?
Correct.
So looking back, I know there was some issues balancing this year's budget. And like I said, this year it was 55,190 that we had to pull out. The budget was very conservative in some senses, and our revenue has come in higher than expected as well. Is that still the case?
Yes, for the 2 months worth of data that we have for the sales tax revenue, we are still pretty much where we were. So we didn't have a decrease. In fact, for the past 2 months, based on the revenue received last fiscal year for the same time period, we are above that. So even though COVID may have affected other counties, probably because they were bigger than us, it didn't affect us as bad. In fact, our numbers stayed pretty consistent. But we did have to budget conservatively because we just didn't know.
So I am correct that my thought process. So I am correct in that everything over the 200,000 that we use towards salary will go back toward the fund balance for this year.
Yes. Now we did use some of those funds in last fiscal year. I think it was 227,000. It was something a little over that we used towards the salary and benefits. And then this year, thus far, we have used over 200,000 of those funds. And when I say used, I mean we reimburse the county for expenses paid.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not finished yet, but I'll give somebody else the floor if they have questions for you before I continue, Kim. Thank you for those answers.
Well, and I just wanted to say for the email that you were referring to, the breakdown that I gave was based on this is how much we have left. And currently this is what we can use it for. I know we have to designate 20% for the town of Gatesville, but they only requested 6,000 of that 20%. So the rest of it we can use unless they request more than the 6,000.
20% would have been?
20% would have been 165,000 roughly for the town of Gatesville out of the 662, 513,000.
Okay.
And I wanted to reiterate, Ms. Island, the sales tax revenue has remained the same for how long? For what period of time?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
Sales tax revenue, that has maintained itself for how long? How many months?
Currently, for this fiscal year, we've only received 2 months. It's 3 months behind when we receive it. So we have received July and August payments, even though it's come 3 months later. I don't anticipate it declining unless something major happens that we cannot foresee at this point with the COVID. But it did not hit us that hard during the first half of the COVID situation. So right now, I would predict we would, projecting out, we would receive 461,000 over what we had budgeted because we were budgeting conservatively.
And Commissioner Owens and I sit on the Social Services Board. Have we heard anything about any extra funds coming in there that were not allocated this year, Kim?
They did receive a very small allocation. I believe it was a little over $4,800, but it is very specific for what they can use it for. And I think that was the total that they were going to receive.
And
now with the Medicaid hold harmless, we did not budget that this year, although I still feel like we're going to receive that money. The question is whether or not we can keep the money. So that's why we didn't budget for it.
And I know Commissioner Owens remembers that amount very well from sitting in board meetings.
Thank you, Matt.
I guess the question for the board would be, if you want to use any remaining funds for Chromebooks for the schools, since I found out that as long as it's not double dipping, as long as it's additional Chromebooks that they purchase, then we can reduce the amount that we reimburse the county for salaries and benefits for those Chromebooks, or, we just reimburse for salaries and benefits. That helps towards the fund balance for the county.
Understood.
Thank you, Kim.
Could I ask a question? If we would use that for something like that, is that considered increasing the school board's budget? And that ties us into next year having to meet that because we cannot reduce a board's budget.
No, these are separate funds from the current school expense that you're referring to. This is only as long as they purchase additional Chromebooks. It cannot be for ones that were already purchased. And I did contact Sandy to ask how many they had purchased for the year and how many they were still lacking. I was just trying to get some information up front because we're just with the time frame of things and trying to get all of the items before December 31st.
Curious, do we know what a Chromebook, the price tag is for just one?
Yes, if you give me 1 second, let me pull up that email that she sent.
239, Kim, I think.
She indicated that, she had forwarded on to John Smith, and he said that, I guess the last Chromebooks that they received cost $245, and then there was a $25 management license on top of that, but the shipping was free. It did not include the tax in that figure, but tax goes into a receivable line anyway, because we can we can submit that at the end of the year to get reimbursement for any kind of taxes that we've had to pay, since we're not considered non-exempt.
It's like 274 then roughly.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Dr. Riddick has a question. Okay, it's fine.
I keep seeing Chromebook, but it's in an email from Commissioner Jones. So did we get a request to purchase Chromebook?
I'm going to read an email at some point.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead and read it now?
I want to know what they projected the price, how many.
I've got that. If I may read this communication.
Question is how many Chromebooks were needed from Dr. Riddick? Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Linda. No, can I go ahead?
No, I was just saying, weren't we also going to use some of the CARES money for upgrading our?
That's part of this email from Kim.
Yeah,
Right. I'm gonna go ahead and read this email if I may. I sent an email to the superintendent.
Madam Clerk,
Gotcha. All right. As Kim, as I have discussed via email and via phone, I took the initiative to reach out to our superintendent because, and to put the words, I'm not going to quote Leslie Byram, school board member who's sitting in our audience tonight, but I think you said sitting in the other courthouse that forgotten gates at one of the school board meetings that we're always left behind. So I took the initiative knowing that there's CARES Act money that our finance officer just confirmed, this money that we were not planning for and budgeted for, to reach out to the superintendent. I'm gonna read an email I sent to him and his response. Good evening. This is my email to Dr. Williams. Good evening, sir. It is my understanding from our finance officer, we currently have some CARES Act funding remaining. I am interested in this money going to our school system to purchase Chromebooks. I am tired of hearing our school kids have less than other counties. I think this would be a good use of these funds. Our next commissioners meeting is November 18th. Could you provide me some info on the estimated cost to purchase Chromebooks? Also, if the commissioners do decide to help the kids that night, will that give you enough time to get purchased before end of the year deadline? I'm not sure the exact amount, but think that we're in the range of $50,000 to $150,000. Dr. Williams responded back that said, "Hi there, Commissioner Jones. Thank you for considering the purchase of Chromebooks for the students of Gates County Schools. Technology is an integral part of the instructional process in our schools, and we are continually looking to increase our inventory." Timeline header. Anytime you deal with federal dollars, the procurement process needs to be followed. I do know that time is critical at this point as COVID relief funds expire on December 30th, 2020, and any unspent funds will have to be reverted to the state. Header of Chromebook order. The award for my bid for 400 Chromebooks was $95,648, including tax. This did not include the carts, which are $1,500 before tax, to house and charge up to 30 Chromebooks. Our Chromebook arrival time will be in the middle of November. And I'm gonna, Mr. Byron, y'all are supposed to get those in this week or next week, I think. Is that right? All right. Why one-on-one? Our ultimate goal is to be a one-to-one school district. We could accomplish this if we could afford to purchase 1,150 more Chromebooks. Every year, I always add in my budget proposal to the county in the spring money to purchase computers. This would allow us to maintain technology at the schools and for students to have technology at their hands, both at school and at home. Once students have a computer that they can access to at school and at home, it opens them up to individualized activities and lessons touching on each topic they are studying in the classroom. Instead of a teacher trying to develop a lecture that will address each child's skills and learning styles, technology steps in and gives teachers the tools to provide the same information in a variety of ways. Students have different abilities, varying educational backgrounds, and alternative ways of learning. When you give each child a device for learning, they can access personalized content geared toward them. Any number of Chromebooks for students would be very beneficial and greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for thinking of the students of Gates County Schools. Dr. Williams.
Comments?
So to go on, if I may, Mr. Chair, I would like to see my fellow commissioners allocate some of the $185,011 that is left to the school system for technology, for Chromebooks and charging stations to help the students in Gates County and the teachers that are going through a rough time right now due to COVID. Now, and I will continue, if I may, Mr. Chair. I look at the email that, and Melissa was referencing, I believe. Last meeting that I was unable to attend, my fellow commissioners decided to upgrade the audio-visual system for our meeting room. I was not here to express my dissatisfaction to that because according to the email from the finance officer, it's $25,000 to upgrade technology to provide better live streaming for citizens and pay for any supplies that will be needed to complete the project. That is an eligible expenditure, However, I personally do not think that's a wise use of our money because this room gets used about twice a month. Which furthermore leads me to spending, did you kill me, Melissa? Was my time up?
Can you hear us, Kim?
Yes, if you don't speak into the mic, it's very hard to hear.
Kim, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple of issues at hand. Like I said, I disagree with the 25,000. However, that contract has already been signed to upgrade the equipment. But I would like to see the commissioners allocate an amount of this 185,011 toward Chromebooks or technology for the school system. And I'll be quiet for a second.
So, Kim, question for you. We don't know how long the COVID situation is going to go. We don't know what potentially other things we might need to be reimbursed for. Are we hearing anything about there being a second pot of money rolled out to the government, local,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the local governments like the county?
They have talked about on some of these NC Pro meetings, maybe an extension to spending the funds or possibly additional funds, but that is not, that's just hopeful thinking. I wouldn't bank on it.
How about the things that we've allotted money for so far, being reimbursed for so far? How many of those things can we anticipate being reoccurring things where there'll be more money spent that could be reimbursed?
Most of the items truly were for salaries and benefits and for anyone who used the emergency FMLA time. What I projected based on if the town of Gatesville truly only needs $6,000, because right now we are pretty much done with how much the county was allotted. And now we're dipping into the funds that would have gone to the town of Gatesville, but they indicated they didn't need them. Between the 6,000 and what's been allotted to upgrade the technology for the county, the rest of it I could easily use to reimburse the county for salaries and benefits for substantially dedicated employees.
Which was my question about, we'll be putting money back into the fund balance was my point. And I talked to a town council person and he or she said that is all they're aware of and they might not even spend the whole $6,000.
So they came up with a number of $6,000, speaking about the town. They don't already have $6,000 of things to be reimbursed for. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they've just projected out 6,000. That sounds, I
And
think they would have a hard time spending even the 6,000.
I think they might have spent or know what they're spending on, like something for the park or something. I think's what she said.
I think they're using it to sanitize maybe the town hall is what was on their report.
All right. Jones, do you have an idea of anything proposed or a number? Or
I have many ideas, but did you want to give an update on the audiovisual contract that's already been signed?
I'll be happy to. Was there anyone else that need? Okay, so the AV contract was signed. So that project started back in September, looking for quotes and vendors. So it's been mentioned a couple of times at various meetings. I think it actually started back in the summer before we knew that we could use funds for that. So that upgrade will include everything that we need in this room for the commissioners, the planning board, board of adjustment, any meeting, to not only have full capabilities for the audience, but built-in live streaming as well as presentations and such there. So a lot of stuff that I think the board has mentioned, that contract does not use that full 25,000 that was allocated there. The additional cost for some of that was, this was the only new part that came up at last week's meeting, was the direction of upgrading the Board of Commissioners conference table so that we would have a facility that better met the AV needs, not have all of these cords and tables and such there. So I'm just, based on the quotes I've received so far, we can probably stay within this budgeted amount if we just get a conference table like this that's a little longer. The board had requested some more intricate type tables and such. I've got one quote and I'm waiting on 3 more to come in by the end of this week. And it's not going to fall within that amount likely.
What was the amount for the audiovisual? Do you remember that?
19.9 was the total contract, I believe. I mean, it might have been a few dollars and cents here and there, but I believe it was 19.9 and such. And that was for all of the equipment, installation, and staff training.
Commissioner Coyne, did you study in on some of that?
Yes, I sat in on that, and I think that's a pretty reasonable price for the next 100 years.
We did get a quote that was over 50.
Mr. Chair. Let me address all of this COVID money and what was being spent for or projected to be spent for. The Board of Commissioners, we are always thinking about our children in Gates County and what's needed, especially with COVID-19 and what's happened with the digital divide in these rural counties. But when you look at the county does not have the opportunity to spend their money on technology. It's never gonna be there. We're in this historic courthouse. The citizens have complained numerous times about not being able to hear, not being able to see, this, that, and the other. There's echoes in here. We're not the only one that's gonna use this room. The school board is gonna, matter of fact, they're gonna use it in December, I believe.
December 7th.
The plan,
Possibly.
all of the other committees use it. All the other staff have opportunity, and it can be open to the county as far as what we need to do. We can host other things in this courthouse besides commission meetings once a month. We will not have the opportunity to upgrade this courthouse on our own money. It's not allowed. COVID money can be spent on technology. I think I was the one that asked that way back when we had the meeting at EMS. Could we use this money for technology? They said no. Well, now it has opened up that we can use to upgrade this historic courthouse so that it can be a place where all citizens, all meetings, whether it's whoever wants to schedule it, to use it. And we should have the state-of-the-art equipment needed for our citizens who cannot come out or choose not to come out to see it without having all these audio, visual, and technology issues when we have the opportunity. Will we continue to fund the school system? Oh, yes, we will. And if we can get the money, whatever it is, to help them with the Chromebook, yes, we will. But the school system have avenues of getting money that we don't have and never will have. So we need to look at what we can help the school system. Maybe we can't get 1,150. I don't know how many we could get, but this is just my position. I don't have opinions, I have positions. That when money is available, that we can upgrade and make this historic courthouse a place where people can come and have meetings and people can hear digitally without all the issues we've been having since we've been here because of COVID. I think that we should consider that. I know that the commissioners have discussed that, and my position is when a decision is made, the decision is made. And the decision is made for the good of the citizens, all citizens, including the children of Gates County.
Now, I'm going to respond to Dr. Riddick because this happened before your time, Dr. Riddick, but there's a lot of citizens that would say there's been $1 million thrown into this facility that was a waste of money. That was before your time and before my time, that, you know, they don't want to see another dime spent. And I know you have even asked the question previously about the operational costs. We never got that information, what it was going to cost to use this facility a few months ago. But Commissioner Hoffler made a statement about lowering money to the school system. If we allocated some money of this money, and Kim said no, and a little bit more history. Back in 2019, we were looking at balancing the budget, and June the 17th of 2019, to be exact, our meeting, we passed the fiscal year 20 budget in a 4-1 vote. Commissioner Jordan was still with us, and Commissioner Hoffler voted against the budget that year because at the last minute, we decided to use money that was allocated for a finance position that was needed by the LGC, supposedly, that Commissioner Owens asked for them to come tell us. I don't think we ever got that final word, but we used the finance officer, extra finance position and some extra money to give an extra $50,000 to the school system. Now, Commissioner Hoffler, being the retired educator that she is, it disappointed me, but like you said, everyone has their opinion, but she wanted that money to go toward the finance position. It's a good thing that we didn't, because we took that $50,000 away from the school system this fiscal year. So if we'd added that extra position, we would have had to fire somebody or come up with another $50,000. So it was a good thing that we allocated that money in June the 17th of 2019. But I am of the opinion that we've got this extra money that, based off of what Melissa and Kim have said, it's $160,000 after the approximate, give or take a few dollars, after the contract that was decided and discussed at the last meeting has been paid, and approximately for a new table. So we're going to have around $155,000 to $160,000 left of money that we weren't expecting. So after hearing, I attend the school board meetings. I hear it from teachers. I hear it from parents. We're working on broadband. Dr. Riddick sent us another thing about working on extra broadband access, and the Interim County Manager has signed the application. It's in process. So we're further along with the application that we had the public hearing about a couple of meetings ago to try to get better internet access to our citizens. So, Mr. Chair, we can talk about this all night, but based off of my math, we've got around $160,000 left. And the majority of the board might not agree with it, but I'm going to make a motion that we allocate $80,000 of our CARES Act money toward the school system for them to purchase technology items, which is allowable per our finance officer and the OSBM per emails we received. And that is in a motion, $80,000 of CARES Act money to be allocated to the school system.
Very well, sir. There's a motion on the floor for 80,000 of those funds in excess of 166. Thank you, ma'am. Therefore, that would leave, what, 80-some thousand?
Yes, sir.
To be used for AV or other items.
It'd be allowable. It would still be eligible to be reimbursed eligible salaries and benefits.
Roger.
And that other item, yes, sir.
Roger that. So that, the motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second to allocate 80,000 to our school system for the purchase of Chromebooks for the students. Any discussion?
Plenty.
Fire up. Yes, sir.
Kim, you're still there.
Yes.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but we need to hear from you. Is this a conservative decision in your judgment?
We would not, in my opinion, and based on what I had asked in the NC Pro office, and I talked with the gentleman, which are the emails that I forwarded to you guys for the school systems part, these would be eligible expenses. So we would not be in a payback situation if that's what you're asking.
They would go purchase them, and they would go purchase them, and would we give them the $80,000, or they would bring us a receipt for $80,000, Kim.
Yeah, probably what we would do is they would just need to send us the receipt and we would reimburse the school system for that money.
So
And make no mistake too, early on, I believe I heard Kim say this would not be construed as double dipping.
Right. So, just for clarification for the audience, these are dollars, and to tap into what Commissioner Riddick said, this is an opportunity that we hope never comes around again. We hope there's not another COVID situation. But we're able to do this because it's on a reimbursement status. And if we don't spend these dollars, then they don't get used. Am I correct when I make that statement?
Yes, if we don't spend, if we don't have reimbursable expenditures for these funds, we do have to pay them back.
Eventually, those dollars will go away
Yes,
and not used for our county.
right.
Okay. So I seconded the motion because I believe that to be true. So I just want to clarify that for us as a whole. So I don't believe I have any more questions.
I made my position.
Yeah, I'm not anti-school as I have been portrayed. I believe that 2019 was a long ways to go back, but there was all things that was done at the last minute, right before we got ready to vote. But I'm not going to go up in past history. As I agree with Dr. Riddick, that this is the opportunity to get the AV equipment that we need here to make this more user-friendly and be available to our students, to our citizens. And hopefully the courthouse will be more used in the future, and we are using it quite extensively now. I'm not anti-school, and so I don't want to go to, anyone to think I am.
Chairman. Now, I was getting ready to call the vote.
What I was going to say is, does that opportunity still exist? And I believe that it does, listen to the figures, that both can be done.
yeah, this was money after
Both.
AV. Yeah, this is both of, yeah. This is half of what's left over from Doc. Yeah, yes, sir.
Absolutely. Just want to make that clear for those that are listening and are involved.
And I will make one more comment. We don't need to close the door on these dollars as this window closes, Kim, and you'll keep us advised of this. As this window closes for the dollars to be spent, there will be a deadline, ending time. We don't need to wait till then to say, hey, where can we spend this? Let's keep our gears turning, our wheels turning, looking for things, and we may come up with something. Have the county, you and county manager research it to see if it's viable. Doesn't mean we have to take action as soon as we know it's viable. We could wait, 20 days, 30 days to the ending of the period for spending the money, and then enact whatever that is. So
Being proactive with money.
right.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I'll call the vote.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Everyone understands what the motion is, what it involves. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, so be it.
Mr. Byram, you're going to let Superintendent know to. Thanks, sir.
Chairman, on that matter.
Yes.
It is a reimbursed status. So do we need to get the county manager to draft a comment to Board of Education or about our decision?
Good point. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Under 9 old business. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to continue with that, does the board want to have discussions about a conference table? Do you want to stick with the specifications that you told at the last meeting? How do you want to proceed? The AV contract was signed. We're getting quotes. We've not signed anything here. You tell me what direction to go in.
The only, I would like to say table right now. But refresh my memory. There's a connection to the equipment related to the table.
A newer table would decrease all of your cords, would provide internet ports, electrical outlets.
It would,
If that's the direction that you choose to go in. The board, you attended a meeting, and then last week the board was pretty clear, and I wrote down all the specifications. I've taken those specifications and sent them to numerous manufacturers, and I'm getting quotes. Those quotes are not going to come back in this allotment, so that money is going to increase there. So I'm asking the board, do you want to stay in this ballpark and get a larger table, but not the specifications that you asked for? Or do you want to proceed with getting the quotes for what you want?
well, let me ask you a question a little differently and see if it changes anything. Do we need to get a table to accommodate the new hardware? That's a yes or no question there.
Yes.
Okay.
And your guesstimate on that cost, Ms. Lawrence? That's not a yes or no question.
No, like I say, we've got one quote in, and it was the first one. So that started at the wish list.
Yeah, it's a big number.
The wish list,
What's the wish list top?
17.
Not Christmas yet.
So that's the wish list. That, now I'm still working with other designers and vendors. So I think we can probably get down to somewhere between 12 and 15. And that is, I mean, I've got, if you want
But you know,
to see some of the
Ken,
designs.
What's the turnaround on one of those tables from what you've seen? I know you've only got one, but let's say you've got the quotes, bids out there right now. We bring this back December 7th. You bring it back to us, put it in our board packet. We vote December 7th to proceed with that. That gives us 23 days. And I guess that'd be a question more toward Kim. If December the 7th, we decide to proceed with company A, we order it on December the 7th in the afternoon or the 8th, we're good with that money spent. You know, it's spent before December 30th, even though we might not have gotten it in.
And Kim, jump in here. But from what I can see, we can sign a contract to allocate the funds. We're gonna have to give a substantial deposit to the company. But I don't think any of these are actually doable by the end of the year, unless we're ordering a table from Quill.
And how long does it take to get one in? Well, the first one you got, how long did they say it would take?
I've been told from 4 weeks to 8 weeks.
Okay. But we can decide on December 7th with the information provided to us. That way we've got a couple of weeks to get more information together and then decide December 7th.
so we're already moving forward on the contract. The table is the last piece of the puzzle to work on. So we're not going to tie the hands of our technician. They can go ahead and start doing what they can do minus the table.
Correct.
So we're just,
19.9 is 7.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
so
Mr.
we're
Chairman,
going to table the table issue,
Yeah.
correct?
So
Mr. Oates?
I'll proceed with getting quotes, and I'll bring the quotes back in December.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for the research.
for us to have that on the agenda, further discussion.
That we table the table issue.
That's right. Bring it back up.
All right, the next item is board retreat. We discussed that last time. We discussed, if I'm not mistaken, having that in this building and in this room. Am I correct?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I believe that item C and item D both need to be tabled until we have a new permanent county manager in the role. Item C, so that we can start working on a strategic plan going forward. And well, we're on item C right now, so I won't get ahead of myself.
Well,
So I'll make a motion that we table item C until we have a permanent county manager in place.
we can kind of open up for discussion, I believe, for old business, both C and D. We want to look at that and,
Well,
so,
Mr. Chairman, let's, can we open the table up for discussion on C? We should be able to nail that down real
Okay.
quickly.
all right.
I mean, I don't have a specific feeling about it. We don't have a permanent county manager right now. If we, I don't know if we could use that time to talk about the applications that we're receiving. Would that be, is that viable?
I thought that was a time to come together with the manager to discuss the plan and
Future vision.
future. Mhm.
Okay, all right. Well, then I'd be in favor of tabling it then.
I'm in favor of tabling too.
All right, and do we also include D in this?
I think so, Mr. Chair. I think that the new manager, he or she needs to review. I don't think we need to make any decisions in some regards to that big a change in this interim part. So
I'm certainly in agreement there. And I see a nod from Dr. Riddick.
I agree.
And
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table C and D to a later date to be determined.
Roger that. All right, there's a motion on the floor.
I'll second the motion.
The motion and a second to table both C and D and the items of old business. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign, here none, so be it. And under new business, recognition of Union Branch Baptist Church for 100 years of service.
You want one of us to read that?
Do we have that?
Is there, I don't believe there's anybody in the audience.
No. But we can read it for the public.
Sure can.
I make a motion that we send the resolution if we happen to have a.
And I'll second that motion.
There's a motion on the floor for the motion,
Do you want to read that resolution,
recognition
Chair Hoffman?
of Union Branch Baptist Church. So, is there a commission who wants to volunteer to, present that?
I'll be glad to read it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. So be.
This document is dated November the 5th, 2020, Union Branch Baptist Church. Pastor there is Nathaniel Thomas, and the church is in Core Peak. Dear Pastor Thomas and Union Branch Church family, congratulations. This year marks a significant milestone in your service to the citizens of Gates County community and abroad. The Gates County Board of Commissioners would like to commend Union Branch Baptist Church for 100 dedicated years of service. We celebrate with you and wish you the best as you continue providing services to the community and serve as a beacon of light, spreading love and the gospel of Jesus. And we will all sign this sincerely.
Very well. Excellent. And, do we also have some for, our public schools?
No, I think Commissioner Hoffman made a motion and I seconded it. We need to vote to approve it or present it.
Present it.
To present.
Yes, sir.
Correct. All right. Do you want to bring that forward at this time?
Yeah, I'll call for the vote, Mr. Chair.
All right. Yes, sir. Call for a vote on.
Yes, sir.
On this item.
No, sir, on the church.
Sure.
On church.
Commissioner Hoffman made a motion and I second it, that we present it.
Absolutely, and a second. All right, all in favor of the resolution? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none. The resolution thereby passes. Thank you. All right, then we have a letter that Commissioner Owens brought forward to us, and also the Superintendent of Schools, Public Schools for Gates County. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll read that if you don't mind. I've got on an email here. I'll read from that.
easier to read.
Okay. This is a letter related to the Board of Education. They are seeking dollars and grants and things of that nature. And they've submitted a request related to several of our schools. And they're required to send in a document that tells what their total school needs are. And I have that right here. I just want to read that total to you.
Yes, sir.
The total is $5,963,892. It's a big number. And they realize that would mean a big hole in our budget. But I want to read this letter dated November 17th, 2020. And Mr. Chairman, you've been apprised of the letter, and so have I. But it says, Dear Gates County Board of Commissioners, Gates County Schools has the opportunity to apply for a needs-based public school capital fund grant for new construction. The grant requires matching funds according to the following requirement. Tier 2, $1 in local funds for every $1 in grant funds. So it's a dollar-to-dollar match. Based on the latest facility needs survey, Gates County High School has mobile classrooms that need to be removed and replaced. The replacement would be a new construction brick building wing comprised of 6 classrooms. These classrooms would serve as 4 regular classrooms, a self-contained EC classroom, and the Adolescent Care Center. Additionally, Gates County High School is in need of a new weight room and storage structure to supplement the Gates County High School gymnasium, and Central Middle School needs a field house with concession stand and restrooms. The appropriate cost of new construction for the 6 classroom wing would be approximately $2 million. The new supplemental athletic facility at Gates County High School and Central Middle School would be approximately $350,000. Together, all new projects would total approximately $2,350,000. To achieve this, Gates County Schools would like to apply for the needs-based public school capital fund grant in the amount of $1,175,000, with the county providing the required matching of $1,175,000. Enclosed with this letter is the list of new building projects needed for Gates County Schools. Included with this list, for informational purposes only, is the list of repairs and renovations that will be needed within the next few years based on the latest facility needs survey. Gates County Schools is attempting to take advantage of every opportunity to secure grant funding for new facility construction. I also understand that matching funding may not be possible from the county at this time. I appreciate your consideration of this request. Sincerely, Dr. Barry Williams, Superintendent of Schools, Gates County Schools. A couple of things I'd like to go back over, if I may. And that's this part right here. Gates County Schools is attempting to take advantage of every opportunity to secure grant funding for new facility construction. We applaud them doing that, and they fiercely go after these dollars. I hear from it quite often, and I know you do. We're applying for a grant. We hope we get some, and they've been successful. But this last sentence says, I also understand, this is a reality check, and they do say, I also understand that matching funding may not be possible from the county at this time. But you know, the superintendent and that board, they're reaching out they're not sitting still. They're looking, turning over every rock, turning around every corner. They're not taking no's when they hear them. They're plugging away and they're making their contacts. They've got good relationships. I would say certainly in the state and maybe even farther. But we all know that a dollar for dollar matching at $1,175,000 is not available. I would like, I was approached about this, so knowing that the letter was out there and that it was coming. And Mr. Chairman, I would like for us to dictate a letter to the Board of Education regarding this letter, and certainly letting them know what the obvious is, that we can't do that, the $1,175,000 at this time.
And we certainly want to thank them for sharing that, and just, and they're matching funds, almost 50-50.
No, dollar for dollar.
Dollar for dollar.
Mhm. Yeah.
And are you going to make that in a motion?
Yeah, I
That
believe
we're
I
unable
will.
to do that?
Mr. Chairman, would like to make that motion. Thank you, Commissioner. That we instruct the county manager to send a letter, Mr. Chairman, with your input as well, to the Board of Education and to the attention of Dr. Barry Williams, about this letter and thanking them for doing what they do. But certainly, you know,
We're not
our
financially-
condition at this point.
We're not
That's-
financially able at this time.
Right.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
All right, so there's a motion and a second on the floor for this request from our Gates County Board of Education to have matching grant fund for the building of and restoration of schools. So do we understand? Any other discussion? Hearing none. Aye. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Hearing none. It is denied. Thank you, Commissioners. All right, we will, Commissioner comments. And start with Commissioner Hoffler.
Well, it's nice to see you, just people come out tonight, and we certainly appreciate it. And those of you who have joined us electronically. It's not often that we get money handed to us from one of our boards, and we appreciate the ABC board turning over that money. Certainly, hopefully, we can use it for good. We try to use every penny that we have judiciously, and we have a lot of needs, and unfortunately, sometimes we don't have as much money as we need to do. As we enter the holiday season, especially as Thanksgiving, it's certainly going to be a different Thanksgiving for most of us and our families. But, you know, we still have so much to be thankful for. We have so many blessings. At this point, I think we're the third lowest county in the state with COVID. Camden and I guess Anal County ahead of us. But so we have been very fortunate. Please try to stay safe, wear your mask, do social distancing, wash your hands, and just try to think of your fellow citizens as well as yourself. And take care.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Commissioner Owens?
Yes, thank you, everyone, for viewing tonight and for being here. I hope everyone has a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Dr. Reddy?
I would just like to say a kudos to the Board of Elections and all the citizens and poll workers and census takers, because we had census and we have been very busy these last 6 or 7 months in COVID-19. So on behalf, I think, of my colleagues, we thank you for what you did, not only with one-stop voting, but also on November the 3rd. Also, I would like to thank all of you for wearing your mask and washing your hands and staying 6 feet apart. And I hope that you take heed of Thanksgiving so you can have another Thanksgiving after this Thanksgiving. And, we don't want to gather for a funeral. I'm just being blunt because some people don't understand it. So I'm grateful that you tuned in tonight, and those in the audience, thank you for coming, especially Mr. Kitchell, who bought money, and he's invited back anytime that he can bring some dollars. To Mr. Byron back there, I recognized you when you came in, and rest assured, we're gonna take care of the children, always will. And I every time someone writes a grant, I love grants. You'll find that out, that if you don't ask, you won't get. We have not because we ask not. So let them tell us no. So you keep up the good work with the school board and let superintendent know how we are going to support them in these COVID times, and we are working on broadband. So thank you for coming, thank you for tuning in, and let's get to work.
Thank you, Dr. Reddick. Commissioner Jones?
Thanks, sir. Mr. Kitcher, you come back anytime. You're welcome. The Kitcher on this side over here. You as well, sir. Mr. Byram, thank you for everything you're doing for the kids. Thank you for allowing them to have sports and have a little bit of normalcy. Central had their first soccer game Monday, and didn't come out on the winning side, a young team, but I think the first volleyball match for the middle school is tomorrow. The high school had the first game, so the kids are getting a little bit of normalcy back. Hopefully December 7th, where they all meet in here or virtually, might be getting some more normalcy back in January. And to echo Commissioner Reddick, I had in my notes, I heard a lot of good stories of the election process at the community center. A lot of citizens said, a number of citizens that I talked to, everybody said it worked great. It was a great location. And a few asked, well, can we do that every time? And I know Dr. Williams, I've expressed to Dr. Williams that our appreciation for him allowing that to happen. Thank you to my fellow commissioners for looking out for the kids and helping with that $80,000. Thank you for the citizens that tuned in, and hope everybody has a happy and doesn't eat too much next weekend at Thanksgiving. And stay safe.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. I would like to say that very often folks don't see that what our clerk does for us. Ms. Lawrence has put together our packets, keeps us in tune, and very often we do not have the opportunity or do not think to thank her in a public forum. So I want to thank her for keeping us together with this and running other things, as well as our county manager. And I too want to thank our colleagues sitting here, reviewing everything and making the decisions that we make. Some of the decisions are tough. We saw one tonight, if you were tuned in, and it was a tough decision. It tugged on many hearts sitting at this table. So thank you for being involved, and thank you for supporting us.
Go ahead, Commissioner Owens.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second Mr. Commissioner Owens' motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there any discussion about that? If not, we'll go ahead and vote.